thing you consider in an emergency, the cost of traveling to the hospital. Sometimes it means using an air ambulance or medical helicopter.
Well, it turns out those expensive flights may not always be necessary. Joanne Purd is here now with what you need to know so you don't waste your money, Joanne.
A Consumer Reports investigation here revealed a spike in patients' complaints. Apparently, people are getting hit with thousands of dollars in bills for taking these ambulance rides. More on this now. We want to warn you, some of the images you're about to see may be disturbing.
It's the call no parent wants to get. Jenny Stout's daughter, Ashlyn, was badly burned in their backyard.
I could hear Ashlyn in the background just screaming. And I knew right then, I was like, oh, this is a lot worse than it sounds.
Paramedics rushed to the scene. The nearest burn center was 40 miles away, so they decided she should be taken by air ambulance.
Our 4 paramedics standing in your bathroom saying, we're going to fly. This is what's going to happen. You just go, okay.
Ashlyn made a full recovery, and the Stouts' insurer covered the hospital bills. But 2 months later, they received a bill from the air ambulance company saying they owed over $18,000.
In a true medical emergency, if you call a ground ambulance, your insurance company is likely to pay most of the cost. But insurance companies say air ambulances charge such huge bills, they're only willing to pay a fraction of the cost. And that means you as the consumer are stuck paying the rest of the bill.
And that cost can be high. Consumer Reports says the average bill for medical helicopters is more than $30,000. Even more shocking, Consumer Reports finds many people taken by air ambulance could have been safely driven to the hospital in a ground ambulance in the same amount of time or even quicker.
This is so unfair for consumers. In an emergency situation, the last thing you're thinking about is how you're going to pay the bill for the transportation that takes you to the hospital. Consumers often have absolutely no idea they're going to be on the hook for such a big bill.
You have health insurance for a reason, because when something catastrophic or life-threatening happens, that coverage is supposed to be there to help protect you financially. Even with all of that in place, it just didn't.
The Stout family has spent 4 years challenging the bill, which they say has hurt their credit. If you get stuck with a high air ambulance bill, Consumer Reports suggests you ask your insurance company to advocate on your behalf, to challenge the bill directly with the air ambulance provider, and to bolster your odds, file a formal complaint with the state.
Now, it's important to note here, certainly, the Consumer Report says if someone is traumatically injured and far from a hospital, air transport can be essential, of course. And for people in rural areas, air transport may be the only hope in the event of a heart attack or other emergency. So clearly it is so necessary in some cases. We see, car accidents and things like that where they'll bring in the helicopter and take the person out. But truly here, the bottom line really is that advocates and medical experts that Consumer Reports talked to said they're just seeing too many cases where the injuries aren't life-threatening and they're being brought, by air ambulance when it's not necessary.
It's just good to know the information.
Sure, and who ultimately makes that decision, because you, again, as the consumer, could be holding the bag, if you will.
And that's it. And if you do get a huge bill, as we said, try to fight it and try to help you, say, look, this seems a little unfair to have to pay that much. Right?
$30,000 bag. All right, thank you so much, Joanne, as always.